the thing I most want to talk about at Andor, timeline wise, is like, so his son gets killed by the New Order or something.
Oh yeah, yeah, I guess. Or maybe we already know
I
who
hope
the
Star Killer
character
Base
is.
doesn't get your son.
Yeah.
Thanks for stopping the Death Star, kind of. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Economy of Nothing podcast. This week, it's a special Star Wars edition, where we're talking Andor 2. Mike Allen hates Star Wars and loves his family, so he's somewhere else. That sounds fake. I'm sure he loves Star Wars and hates his family, but was forced to be somewhere else. Anyway, I got two people who feel differently about their families and Star Wars. My buddy Brent and David, who I said where I was going to come up with funny things, and then I introduced them both right in a fast order that makes it hard to do on a podcast, so I'm going to do it again. First, my buddy Brent. Brent, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm happy to be talking Star Wars. There's very few people that want to talk Star Wars, and I think talking Star Wars is good.
And because I didn't just want to have two white guys talking Star Wars on the internet, I brought in my friend David. David, welcome to the show.
Thank you, I guess. I think I'm being forced to be here, but good to be here.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, under certain imperial rule, like sometimes you just have to do things. And I think that we're definitely going to get to Andor here in a minute. But the first thing I wanted to ask you guys, and I guess I'll start in the reverse order I did. David, as like the lamest question of all time, what's your first like Star Wars memory? Not your first thing you were like, but like to me, I think when I think Star Wars, I think these old like Betamax tapes I had that were like rips from like the video, we'd rent the VHSs and then we'd record them onto Betamax. So I just had this old Betamax machine looping like Star Wars all the time. And that's like my memory of it. Little tiny TV, terrible Betamax tapes. How about you, David?
Mine's almost the same, except for VHS tapes. As a kid, I was growing up in Malawi, had no like TV or movie access. So family friends would like come visit, and they'd have like VHS tapes of recorded TV shows, and I had all three of the original movies on one tape. And it wasn't long before it just started scratching and skipping scenes because I watched it so many times.
Yeah, we like that was one of the great things about like having your own tape. You could the tapes that they had it's just enough of the actual film. You can get a couple films on an old tape. Brent, how about you?
I would say, and you guys, this might be a controversial take. Episode one, actual episode one,
Is your
when it came out, Phantom Menace. I was a kid at the time, and my family just moved to North Carolina, and we lived literally like 2 blocks away from a movie theater. So I think I saw Star Wars, the Phantom Menace, 9 times in theaters back
you were
over
that kid.
a probably month and a half period. It was when movies were $5 to $7, not 20. So to be fair, but I think that was kind of my defined memory. I don't even remember if I watched Star Wars before that time. It cemented everything into my mind about that being my first Star Wars memory, that it just overwrote everything, and then I watch the rest of it thereafter. So that's my.
I also have another memory of the Ewok specials. I think I watched those before I watched like a Phantom Menace.
I have, so it's funny you say that, but like for some reason I have some weird sense memory of someone says Ewok specials and I can just smell. So I must have had to see them in like a base. You know when you had to go to like parties when you were a kid and you didn't want to be
what
there.
Are the
you
Ewok
just put kids in the basement
like
and there was nothing to
ones?
watch. And it was just like, here's the Ewok
I forget
special.
the name. I remember there was like a brother and a.
I believe is what it's
yeah,
called.
they crash landed on the Ewok planet, the moon.
I remember it making my skin crawl. I didn't like how it looked. I didn't like the way it felt.
Can we pull this up, Mike? I don't know what you guys are talking
let's
about.
See if, all right, Tess. The Ewok Battle for Andor and Caravan of Courage.
What?
Yeah, let's pull.
Okay, Caravan of Courage. That's what I remember.
That girl. really creepy, and the guy looks like a morphed, like, it's not great. Look, it's, yeah.
What?
Yeah, this kid, oh man, this kid is...
When did this come out? Like a while ago? This isn't
This is
like new stuff,
between
right?
movies,
Yeah.
right? So like 70s, 80s.
Yeah, no, sorry.
Oh my God.
power cord just got kicked out. Yeah, I could tell you in a second. I think it's in the 80s. Right.
Oh wow. I did not
remember
know that
like
this ever existed.
the kid, she's very sick and she needs to be, get some medicine, and it looks like a fruit roll-up she's eating. That's all I remember as a kid.
Yeah, no, well, they do have, like, very much like those ideas that, like, George Lucas really tried to, like, bury some of, like, the bad stuff that Star Wars was or whatever. Like, the Star Wars special, like, I think, like, probably famously, I guess at this point, people are like, know that. But
well, I guess this would have to be after the return of
the Jedi, 1984, right? So this is a year after the Return of the Jedi, I think. That's 83. So yeah. So like, yeah, this is, I assume this is straight. I can't possibly. Yeah, but no, they did look at all this stuff they did, huh? A bunch of weird stuff.
Wow.
Oh, I love that they call Star Wars Clone Wars vintage. Anyway, we can't stare at this thing all day on this audio podcast. But yes, no. It is interesting, Brent, you said when you were talking about seeing that in theaters, because I remember my first Star Wars, I remember seeing in theaters. I saw the 90s in 97 when it came out, when I was like 10. I saw like the first, I don't even actually remember seeing it in theaters. I remember seeing the trailer for it in theaters, and it was an X-Wing on like a TV, and then it like flew out of the TV like onto the big screen, and you're like, oh shit, a movie, right? Like, I'd only ever seen it like as like a tiny TV thing. It blew my mind.
Oh, because of your other memory of like the small one, right?
Yeah, right. So like, and of course it just wasn't, I'd seen like Star Trek. I'd seen a Star Trek like TV show, and then but it's like the quality difference isn't that, like, I was seeing like a compressed version of like a big thing I was supposed to see, right? I don't know. I like Star Wars. That's why we're doing this. So Brent, we'll go back to you for a second. So episode 1, you've just been a fan of Star Wars ever since you've seen you have not had any sort of trials or tribulations in your Star Wars. You're down the line.
I feel like, yeah, I was always pretty consistent with it. I think because I really liked, episode 1, which is a controversial, movie to like.
I liked it.
It just hit me at a certain point. There was like the CGI was like at the perfect mix at that time. The colors were good. Maul was super cool. Like, I just feel like that solidified it. And then everything that came after, there's never been a bad one, I think. Hold on. Let me take that back. I will take that back.
The economy knows where you're supposed to say what you believe, and I think that's fine.
Okay, I appreciate every bit of lore that is added to the story of Star Wars. I think some of the time the execution is less than ideal, and some attempts that they make don't really work. But I would say, even with like some of there's a few moments of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan that I'm like, okay, I'm going to burn this 30 seconds out of my memory, but I think I still appreciate the lore from all of it, even for the ones that are less than executed well. So, yeah, I would say Star Wars fan all through.
Yeah, I definitely liked, as a kid, the prequels. They were amazing. Of course, you grow up and you're like, maybe not great, but I think they were perfect for kids. And I, in hindsight, like the world building, like you said. At least I had a direction. Unlike the sequels, there was no direction.
So this is something I like that you both said, and I wonder, as like someone trying to like make sense, like, how many viewings does the thing I make have to hold up to, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, at a certain point, right? Like, the Phantom Menace, like, yeah, like on the 20th viewing, is it the movie's fault you don't like it anymore, or should you watch another movie for a minute? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, but to that point, but as George Lucas is like building more and then more stuff, like, you have to be aware that you're like, you are building this lore, right? Which is why at the Economy of Nothing, we're starting with the lore. We don't even have anything, but we're like, this is official stuff. You know, Captain Red Hooks is in the Codex.
I was thinking today in anticipation for this is like, why do I love Andor so much? And why do I like certain Star Wars movies more than others? And I think it's character over plot. The movies that don't hold up for me are just completely plot driven, where the characters and the writing is just shit. That's why the prequels don't really hold up in terms of, you know, are they great movies? No, but because they're like all plot. The third one, there's more character, so I enjoy it the best. Episode 3, but yeah. And then Andor is all characters. There's like a few little key moments that, you know where he's going to end up. You know, a certain big things are going to happen in the world, but then everything else is, how does this character get from point A to point B?
I think that's one of the interesting things that Star Wars really like brings out. I think this all the time. Explaining the plot of like the Star Wars prequels, it sounds fascinating, right? And that's why I think the Clone Wars is so interesting, because it's like they're like trying to like fix it out retroactively. But like all of Star Wars, it doesn't work if you try and watch it chronologically, right? It just like, how could it? You know what I mean? Like, you can't watch all of Clone Wars and then go watch A New Hope and be like, yeah, this all lines up. You know what I mean? But like, if you're like in it, in the moment, I don't know. But that's for me to say. I wanted to talk a bit about Clone Wars, and I thought before we got into Andor, because I was like, are we going to go to Andor too quick? I'd hate to do that. I have to fill out content. You know what I mean? But but to like loving, so like when I first saw the Clone Wars, the 2D one I loved. The Clone Wars, I simply hated it. I thought it looks bad. I didn't like
episode 2 or like
the Clone Wars, the TV show on like Cartoon Network. There was a movie that was a cartoon. Yeah. I didn't see it. A Star Wars movie. So, like when everyone's like they're not seeing Star Wars movies now, I was like, I did not see a Star Wars movie in like 2008, right? Like, but like, I know I didn't think it looked good, and it felt like I don't know. I don't remember. It wasn't until like college or something that like. I don't know. Someone saw maybe Brent. Maybe you showed me Clone Wars. When did you see the Clone Wars the first time?
I think I did watch it in college, and I've rewatched it probably 2 or maybe 3 times in the end. And I think the last time it's kind of like Rebels. I feel like they're both the same. They start out really weak, but Clone Wars in particular. Not only is the story not as dense, but like the actual, like it's kind of like, you know, season 1 of South Park. It's like a more blocky, it's less developed characters, and the plot just isn't as thick because they're not sure if they want to cater to kids or adults or whatnot. So, but once you get to like season, I think it's like 3 or 4 like into it, you then start to appreciate it. So I think I did tell you about it either. I don't know when did it come out, but it must have been like sometime around college. But I know that, it's been continuing for a while. And then they had those recent seasons. What was that, like the hidden?
That's one of the things that
was that season 13?
The release order of that stuff was pretty good. Let me see what I can find while David tells us about if he likes the Clone Wars at all. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe
does he?
Yeah, well, I think I can't. When did it come out?
Well, it's 2008.
I think it had to be
2008. So I would have been in college, and maybe someone would have said, "You should watch the Clone Wars." And I'm going, a kids thing? Nah, man. Like,
I think it would have been college for me. Definitely, I agree. Like with the animated movie, it was like more of the same. Of like, at that point, I'm like over the prequels. It's like overrated. But yeah, I think after a while, I don't think I watched it when it was coming out. Just like a few seasons in, and then I, maybe torrented it at college, and then binge watched. But where I enjoyed Clone Wars, like not every episode and every season is great, but like within seasons, there's great arcs. and character to development. So when we get new characters, that's when I liked it the best. So Ahsoka, the clone troopers. I was always a little bit bored when we got the Anakin and Obi-Wan. I'm like, we kind of know their ending. So like, how much can you explore and character develop? But the new characters, that's where it hooked me.
I think that is like, I think that's probably like the highest highs and the lowest lows of Clone Wars are like doing Anakin stuff, right? Like because episode 3 pigeonholes you so much that like you just can't, like he has to be people have to mostly not have a problem with him until that movie starts. Like, you know, like his entire downfall needs to be in that movie because he already made it, right? Like they're telling it out of order, which I think it makes it fun to like see them tap dance around, right?
Yeah. What season is this one? This seems like it's further along.
So this is actually this is probably the compression. So right now we're looking at season 1, the downfall of a droid. I looked at it, I guess you can't tell, but like the models in like the first season of the show are like real rough, and the animations are real rough.
Yeah.
And like every season, it seems like they go in and they just kind of like make the show look better every time until like the final seasons when like those like, I mean, I guess they're not part of the Clone Wars, but those new ones they're doing now with the same animation style, like the Tales of stuff. I mean, it just looks, some of this stuff looks incredible. These like, they'll just like, some of the scenes in like the Bad Batch, like the setting, I'm like, oh, just put actors in front of this stuff. Why are you even doing anything else? Like it looks so good, right?
Mount Tantus.
Yeah. Some of that stuff looks, and like it just, and so that's one of those things where when I was talking about thinking about making like the Economy of Nothing TV show, I'm like, oh no, here's a blueprint for like I can make a season, and then like if I learn better animation or get more money or something, season 2 can like look better, and I don't need to like narratively justify like it having better animation or something. Do you know what I mean? Like it could just we can just try better each episode or something.
Yeah. I mean, even just like what we just saw, like the greens from the last shot, it's also interesting that the bad guys are the green, but like that green coloring is just so I don't know, tantalizing. And then you go flip over and then it's like this red and white. And so there's clearly like a lot more development, like you said, and density to this that I think they, brought in to these episodes, which is cool. And you can do that easier in, the cartoon than live action.
Yeah. And so I think when we think about like, it's why we'll just have to talk about Andor in a minute, because all my thoughts like, okay, I don't know what more I have to say than like I want to talk about Andor. Unless anyone like, I thought maybe there would be like more of this, but like, boy, I want to talk about Andor. I don't know how you guys.
Who do we have? Do we have any characters from Clone Wars that overlap with it? So Ahsoka, we know, rolls in, right? Like she spins off. She is in Rebels. And she's a connection from that timeline to this one. We have Ezra, who is just in Rebels. I don't think he's in Clone Wars at all.
No, Yoda shows up in. See, okay, here's a question.
Does he show up in Rebels?
Brent, here's what I need to know, David. What do you think of Rebels? Brent, I think you have a higher opinion of Rebels than I have of Rebels here. Like, I'm just curious. Maybe I'm wrong, because I feel the way you do that. Like, it does get better as it goes on and stuff. But like, hard pass on Rebels. I don't think it gets to the heights of much anything. But I don't know. It's not bad. Do you know what I mean? And it's on the same trajectory, but it's not. I don't know. David, Rebels thoughts?
I think I enjoyed it, and it's more consistent. I would say it's more consistent with its like arc and storytelling than Clone Wars.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Clone Wars, I guess, had freedom to like jump around and show different characters. But like where I could see more like, I don't know, darker tones, especially towards the end of Clone Wars with Ahsoka's story, more adult stories, tones. Rebels was always a kid's show from the beginning. So they were always going to keep it light and funny.
And Rebels, maybe
that's why it doesn't hit as well.
Yeah, well, maybe it's, as you were reminding me, I was thinking like, yeah, I guess formulaically, Rebels is very much more a kid show in that like it's very like a mission of the week type show, whereas like Clone Wars, I guess, really does get like full like 3-4 episode arcs at the end, right? And it's just like, which I guess also leads to like maybe the fact that like I saw Clone Wars all probably when it was mostly done, and I just got to like binge through Clone Wars, whereas like Rebels was like, this is the new Star Wars thing, and I watched an episode, I was like, I don't know about this.
Well, I enjoyed Rebels, but a show that I never watched because I watched like half of the first episode and I was like, oh, I'm not watching this. It was like the animated Resistance show.
I haven't seen a single second. I've never heard anyone say anything.
I watched Rebels. I was like, I enjoyed it. I was like, oh, this is more Star Wars. I'm getting more of the world. So I just kept watching. Resistance, I was like, no, hard pass. Like nothing drew me in.
Do you think it's based on the era?
So, David, I had the exact same reaction. I don't know how far you got. I was desperate. I don't know what I just finished. It might have been like my second pass through Rebels or something. I was like, okay, this is great. There's this new Star Wars content. Like, let me give it a try. Rebels, I did turn around. I liked it. The first few episodes, I was like, garbage. I lasted maybe 5 minutes through Resistance, and I was like, absolutely not. Like, I'm not going to poison myself. Buy this and drink this bleach. Like, I'm not going to do it, even though I might appreciate the lore. It's not worth it. I didn't look past the first 5 minutes.
That was full into Disney era, right? Disney owning.
And to be clear,
yeah,
Brent watches like the Lego Star Wars stuff too. So like, you gotta like really.
I've done like all the audiobooks, all of like the crappy ones that have like stars. I'm like, okay, it's got a mention of Mace Windu. There's going to be something
you
cool.
need to go back and watch the Ewoks.
Yeah, I know. I did not go back past the 90s, I guess. I should have gone back more in the history.
But I don't think, but like as a loreman, as you call yourself, like there's nothing for you there, right? That's all been tossed to the wayside. It's not real anymore.
I mean, is it still canon?
I don't know.
Right?
I think you should watch the show. Have you watched the show Droids?
No, I didn't. Which one?
Droids? You need to watch Droids. Do you not peruse the back end of Disney Plus?
Oh my
you've
God!
Never seen Droids?
No, I don't. I don't go to the dark sections of the Star Wars section. Apparently, God. What is this? I've like. There's 3 pieces of new content.
Are you excited? You found so much new Star. I almost said Star Trek to watch. David, are you aware of Droids?
Nope. All these old animated shows, had no idea about them.
I've known about all of them forever, and I have no idea how. I assume the internet, but when it was cool, you know what I mean? It was my guess. When you could find things on the internet and people are like, yo, have you ever seen this? And you'd be like, wow, no, pretty cool. Now it's on Disney's thing and people can't find it. I don't know. Good job, everybody. Welcome to the Economy of Nothing podcast. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
So we were getting back on who from previous eras, Clone Wars is in, I guess we're like targeting kind of, are we including season 1 Andor,
the only Clone Wars character that is in Andor that I can think of, well, okay, the senators and stuff, right? But like Saw Gerrera starts as a Clone Wars character, like different model and stuff, and then he comes through all of this stuff. Like I'm pretty sure that he's a Clone Wars character. They then put him in Rogue One as Forrest Whitaker, and then he's in Rebels and stuff as like the Forrest Whitaker version of the character, right? But he's on the planet of Andor, and his sister gets killed. His sister Tila, I believe, gets. They're doing a Mujahideen thing on Andor, where Anakin Skywalker is like funding the war.
Yeah, and they give him like missile launchers or something for like the separatist
they need
droids,
Stinger missiles to take down the helicopters. Basically.
Yeah, there it is.
Or maybe it's like a Charlie Wilson's war. Is that what they're doing? Again, maybe that's the same thing. Anyway, that's not the kind of facts we have around here. But yeah, no, I don't. So then, Mon Mothma, the actress that is in Andor, she's in Revenge of the Sith, or she was in a deleted scene from Revenge of the Sith, where like Padme helps found the rebellion.
I mean, the timing checks out. I guess Mon Mothma
I'm not sure. I don't think
anyone. Yeah, I think I saw the deleted scene that you're talking about, where they're meeting with Padme and they're like, "We need to cut back Palpatine's powers. We need to stand up to him." They're like all scared and willing to do nothing.
Yeah. Well, now they're all heroes of the rebellion, and no one remembers Padme. They're not name dropping Padme really ever, except for on Robot Chicken. Okay.
So Saw Gerrera, we have Ahsoka potentially. Saw Gerrera was a pretty substantial one. I don't know if any of the other ones. I mean,
Ahsoka's in the World Between Worlds or some shit, right? Or do we do we have not?
Well, she's not in Andor.
So
yeah, correct. But it's the same timeline, like that timeline in Rebels.
The end of Clone Wars.
The
end of Clone Wars is so the last time we see Ahsoka before Rebels is when she takes down the Star Destroyer at Order 66, right? That's the last time we see it. We don't see any Ahsoka until Rebels. But Rebels takes place at the none of these people show up, I guess, is really the point. Like the only thing that I know from Rebels that I was like, oh, this is not what I imagined. And we'll talk about, maybe this is the bridge. The Gorman Massacre is a thing that is in Rebels. There's a part in Rebels where like they help save Mon Mothma, which I guess is the leg of the trip after Andor does it. Spoilers, right? But
well, they mention it, like how Andor cannot bring Mon Mothma in because they want to show of force the rebels saved the Gold Squadron, and then that's an episode of Rebels.
Yeah, so because there's also in Rebels there's a similar scene where Saw Gerrera is big hologram man having a conversation with Mon Mothma, which plays out in the season 2 of Andor also. But besides that, and Bail Organa, who's I think I texted somebody this. Jimmy Smits should be very mad at his agent that he did Obi-Wan Kenobi season 1 and not this to play Bail Organa. They recast Bail Organa, and I was like, oh, did he do something? And it was like, nope, scheduling. But he did Princess Leia.
I would like. What do you need? Like 2 days to film those scenes? I'm like,
it's so much of a better role than anything he's gotten to do as Bail Organa, and then his other stuff. It's too bad, I guess. But I thought it would be off-putting, but I thought Benjamin Bratt was a pretty good Bail Organa, frankly. But let's get into Andor. I don't think
that we're gonna get Bail back.
Yeah.
Though.
All right, Brent. If you have other questions about who's due, they'll come up as we go through our Andor timeline, because I want to keep everyone here forever, and I'd love to talk Andor. Now, kind of as we had talked before, real quick, we're just quick thoughts on Andor season 1. I mean, obviously, everyone likes Andor season 1. I had concerns. I mean, obviously, I was just hyped for season 2. I obviously have just the concerns of how do you deliver, and I had the concerns of like this time, like the time jumps and the idea that it's going to be over the next. We had a whole year, and now it's like 4 years in one season. So those are my concerns. Do you guys have any concerns going into like the show, or something you wanted to see, or I didn't want to see Darth Vader show up. I didn't want to see him. You know what I mean? I was like, did you guys want to see or not want to see something You don't have to say whether, like, do you have any expectations going into it other than that you liked it the first season?
For season 1 of Andor?
No, season 2. Sorry.
I had no season 2.
So after season 1, your opinion for season 2 before you
so
watch
did you like season 1 of Andor? I guess you know what? I guess no one on the internet knows or has ever heard our opinions before, right? So, hey, David, season 1 of Andor, what did you think generally?
Generally, I loved it. With a lot of Star Wars, like I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, but I'm never gonna like share that Kool-Aid because like it's embarrassing. Like I'm not gonna tell people to watch Clone Wars, the animated show. But I would tell everyone, watch Andor, because you don't even need to know anything about Star Wars, because it's a good standalone like drama that you don't even if you've never heard of Star Wars, you'll enjoy that show and not be lost. So I was like recommending it to everyone. But going in, I had seen Rogue One. That was one of the few new things from the Disney era of Star Wars that I enjoyed. And so I was excited to just get more from that kind of writer from Tony Gilroy. But I had no expectations. I just thought, well, I'll check it out. But then after like episode 3, I was like, okay, I'm hooked.
Right. And so my question is, right, is like now, like going into season 2, right? Like we're like, you didn't have any reservations. You were full hog excited going into season 2. I want a barometer.
Yeah, I was
for
full
our
on
thoughts
excited. My expectations were high after watching season 1, but then I wasn't worried about season 2 because I thought, no, it's same actors, same writer, creator. I know that they have been given freedom to go places, like where the other Star Wars, like, they're like honed back, like you can't do this, you can't talk about this, you can't have freedom, you have to stay within this confine. But they kind of, I think I've seen podcasts or interviews with Tony Gilroy saying that he was given a script for an Andor show to just review and say, provide edits and suggestions. And the show was going to be Andor and K2 flying off, episodic adventures. Every episode was going to be them, doing some rebel adventure. And then he's like, this is fine, it's fun, but like there's no length to this. Like people are not going to come back. There's nothing to keep you hooked. And that was Kathleen Kennedy, I think. And then he, gave his pitch for what he wanted. And it's like, oh no, we're not going to do that. It's too dark, too real, too adult. And then I think a year later they came back to him and they said, okay, just do whatever you want.
The rumor I heard was that he like came in and like saved Rogue One, like that, like it, like the production was really bad and they had to reshoot like most of it, and like what he got for that was like a blank check to do Andor, which is why he's allowed to do whatever he wants. I hear
like every time he's asked about Rogue One, he looks like pained. He looks like he does not want to revisit.
Listen,
those
I don't
days.
want to jump right to the end, but like the biggest letdown from Andor season 2 was turning on Rogue One. And I was like, oh, fuck. I was like, I don't want to watch the first 40 minutes of this.
Yeah, like before season 1 of Andor, I liked Rogue One. But after full Tony Gilroy at the helm, 2 seasons, Rogue One it's like level of, like I loved it, just kept going down because I'm getting...
Yeah, this feels like the
watered down version of it.
I'll let Brent jump in, but yeah, I feel like everyone's saying the opposite thing to me. Everyone's going, well, it makes me like Rogue One more, and I'm like, how? I don't. But Brent, go ahead.
So
the lore master will explain.
I mean, I don't know about that, but like Andor season 1, I think is, I mean, hands down, probably one of my, I don't use this word lightly, like favorite shows. And I think, David, for the same reasons, I would say independently of the reasons you mentioned, I also recognize that. I'm like, hey, like, you don't have to like Star Wars, but if you like a show, this is it. And I don't use this term lightly. If you watch it and sit down and watch the three episodes and don't like it, I mean, try it, right? And anyone that's actually tried it, yeah, exactly. Like, I don't think anyone that has actually sat down and done that will ever kind of say that. So I agree with you there. And like you said, it doesn't have to be like the more intense, like Clone Wars or cartoons or stuff. It's easy, as well as there is not and I think this comes back to what you guys were saying, like Clone Wars, for example, and even Rebels and a lot of TV where it's like trying to get this episodic thing. It's like this formula of, hey, you do this one little thing, there's one little plot movement, and then you have another adventure, and there's one plot movement. And I feel like Andor, it was this sequence of really amazing arcs. And I think it was like the feeling that one of the best episodes is like halfway through. I mean, there's several moments in season one where I'm like, holy crap, I didn't know I could like one season this much in something that's so dense in story. So, I mean, my hopes were amazing with it high. I think looking at season 2, my thought was, how can they do better than this? At the same time, I'm like, well, if you did this the first time, you can kind of do whatever you want the second time, and I'm going to have to appreciate it going into it. So I wasn't really sure. I didn't even I think Mike, you and I even talked about it. Like, I'm not even going to try to form an opinion on season 2 because I don't want to be let down.
Right.
I'm going to just wall myself off and just say, hey, this guy did something really great before. He kind of deserves whatever. This isn't like, unless it's like a Resistance thing where you give out 5 minutes, but I guarantee that's not going to happen. They have the same characters and there's a huge amount of density.
Yeah, there's nothing it would have been very I was feeling very skeptical in the first 3 episodes, but on season 2, but
or season
2, but okay. I had been there in season 1, and I was like, it would be dishonest of me to be like, oh, I don't think that this could you know what I mean? To your point, right?
So if we're talking season 2, I felt the exact same way, and I need to watch it my second run through, but it did not feel the right engagement in 1 through 3 that I would have liked.
Everyone saying they hate, what is those rebel teenagers that are idiots? Everyone hates them, but I think that's on purpose. That you're supposed to,
and it gets kind of
think of them as idiots.
Yeah, where those weird they're all stuck on that one planet while he's trying to steal his the ship back. But
the Defender.
Yeah, but no, what I was clicking that too much. I clicked on all this stuff too much, and what I was trying to remember was I really appreciated some of that stuff. If I have a criticism of season 2, which I don't want to have, because Tony Gilroy said he couldn't have done it as 4 more seasons, so I can't be like I want that, right? Because he's not said I couldn't have gotten that or whatever, right? But it is one of those things where some of this show this season felt more navel gazy or whatever than last season because of that time constraint. There was times when I'm sitting there, I'm like, sure, this is good stuff, but man, we have. The rebellion's only got 4 years. This moment's that important, and it's such a weird nitpick, and it's so dumb to even say, right? But I did feel with them could a more interesting thing have explained to us the same thing? Since we had you had a whole year's worth of things to pick from for the scene.
Yeah, I think I agree with you completely, Mike, and I think. What I've appreciated as I got to kind of the halfway mark, and I would even say whatever it is, 6 to 12, the second half is the first half is building this tension of almost nothing is happening. And I feel that way as kind of this is building up. There's this tension, but I'm not getting any reward for this. In season 1 where there's this massive arc or massive heist, or even just every episode, there was something exciting for. In the season 2, I think he did this intentionally. He's I don't want to make you excited. I want you to build this up. And so you almost get that feeling of a representation of how the Empire prepped from your own recollection of the video. It's like episode 1 and 3, it's slow. Episode 4 through 6, it picks up. Episode 7 to 9, you really sense the tension. And so it's almost like, was that by design that it was kind of slow?
It's like poetry.
David, what's your take?
Yeah. David?
Well, I think the time jumps were kind of genius because it means he can tell key moments and not have to worry about the drawn out in between. But the downside, especially as we're establishing with those rebel kids that are idiots, and then you realize that they're on Yavin. Like with the first season, I'm like, you don't have to know anything about Star Wars and enjoy it. This season, you need to like really enjoy it. You need to know more about Star Wars, which
know a lot about Rogue One.
Detractor in this case.
I did not know who Tavik was.
Rogue One, A New Hope.
To be clear, I had no idea. Did you guys know who Tavik was?
Who's Tavik?
In the last episode, they're like, "Oh man, we're getting messages from Tavik on Kafreen."
The guy he kills at the beginning of Rogue One.
To your point, this felt far. There were things that I feel like weren't payoffs as much if you didn't like know more about Star Wars, right? Like, because it went faster, right? In a way that like they don't explain who Galen Erso is, right? At any point. That's a plot thread of the show, right? But it is a prequel, so but like you just needed to know 1977's Star Wars to watch the last one, right? Like the concept of like the Empire versus the Rebellion, right? Did you see the opening crawl of Star Wars? This shows from that. And I think of it as like I used to think of season 1 as like a companion piece to like the concept of Star Wars, but this is more like it had to work its way back into the narrative, I guess, right? They had to bring Krennic in to go, this is the Death Star. They said the word a Death Star a lot, right? Like this felt more Star Wars, right? There were more stormtroopers. It just was.
Well, it was the Energy Project.
Yeah.
Energy. Yeah, they didn't use. Did they even use Death Star until the end?
I don't think that was mentioned until Rogue One.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think in Andor they even use that term.
I know for a fact that they say the word Death Star. She says Death Star. Krennic makes Deirdre say Death Star after she gets arrested. There's a scene where it's like people are saying Death Star. I don't know, but we do hear the word Death Star. But I don't. The rebel bait, like the rebels don't hear it, right? But I think I think like the big ISB guys though. How do you guys feel about everyone's comeuppance or lack thereof? Because I was surprised that no one turncoated, but other than that, it did seem like everyone got a fair bit of comeuppance. Let's start with Deirdre. What did everyone think of how Deirdre's arc ended up for Deirdre?
I think it's
just for anyone who hasn't watched Andor and is listening to this morning, she ends up in the prison that Andor was in on Narkina 5. I assume based on the uniforms.
I think it was very fitting. That's why I liked a lot of the characters in Andor, because it showed every angle of a authoritarian government and people rebelling against it. So we get to see the bureaucrat working within the system, and then we see her like not really enjoying and wanting to do what happens at Gorman. She doesn't want to kill all these people, but she's indoctrinated into this empire system. She knows no other thing, and she does crave control. But yeah, so even though we see that she has conflict, her comeuppance ending up being swallowed and eaten by the system that she was championing is kind of perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very fitting. I did not expect that turn. I honestly expected some type of.
I thought someone was going to turn. I thought her or Cyril or somebody was going to defect.
I think
or that
Cyril.
I
think that was like the tragedy.
Yeah,
the tragedy of Cyril
like this,
was
you expect it.
We saw him first start as like he sees the Empire as an ideal of like order and control, and when he's like the private security person, and he's like, we must follow the law, the rules, but he doesn't really know what the Empire is really like until he gets a taste of it on Gorman, and then we see that he loves the Gorman people. They like their fashion, because Cyril, like when he first meet him, we know that he's adjusted his uniform. He likes looking proper.
Good writing.
And they're very ordered and polite. So the Gorman are like, he would like live the rest of his life on Gorman if he could. So at the end, when we see he's about to kill Andor, I think in that moment we're like, and Andor doesn't even know, like, who are you? It's like, I think in that moment he's like, what am I doing? And I think if he wasn't killed by that Gorman leader, I forget his name, I think he would have gone with Andor and like given the rebels all the information he had.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things, right? This show's very uninterested in you ever knowing, right? It's like the way it really feels about so many of the endings, right? It's like you either definitively know what happens or you're never going to find out. Though I do think that like it's interesting that like they don't really like make a point of it, right? Like everyone really gets got, right? And the machine just like keeps going, right? Except for who's the main guy? He was from Game of Thrones, and he's the main ISB. Well, he was the main ISB guy last season, and now, well, of course, they brought Krennic and all the other people.
Well, he kills himself.
He's while listening to Nemec's speech, which I thought was just pretty good. But it's one of those things where, like, as I was watching that, I was like, oh, is he going to have a moment of like he's going to push a button or something? You know what I mean? But no one defects from the Empire. They all just get grinded up by it.
He knows how evil the system is. He's so high up, where Deirdre would have been like a little bit naive to like the extent of what the Empire is capable of.
Yeah.
He knows what would happen to him. So he's like, I'm going to kill myself. I don't want to end up
there is like
being crushed by the system.
There's that extra layer to like Deirdre that I think you learn in the, I mean, it's so easy to skip over stuff because you just want to, but like, oh my God, Deirdre and Cyril's mom and that kitchen scene is just like that's the thing that none of these other like Star Wars shows seem to have, right? Of like a scene where you're like, no.
I've seen multiple interviews with Tony Gilroy saying he would love to just have a whole season writing for the mom. Because he enjoyed writing that character.
Oh, that was, it was one of those things where I did feel like, oh, if we had more time, we just don't get to see how it like.
Lose power there, Mike?
He's gone. Eddie Carn is her name. Edie. Yeah. Now, what is that guy's name? I loved him. The ISB head guy. He had such like good witty remarks.
Yes, a Partagaz.
I think he might be one of my favorite bad guys in the season.
Yeah, because he's in the Star Wars movies, the evil is just absolute. Like, yeah, there's no like, they're just black and white evil. Whereas Partagaz, he's a bureaucrat within a fascist government, so we can see the depth of how what I think I've heard a podcast where Tony Gilroy mentioned like the banality of evil, whereas just the system that they build and the people within it, maybe they weren't necessarily evil, but just because they work within the system, that's what they become.
Yeah, no, I think that's what you appreciate him over like a Tarkin, right? Who's like, okay, He's clearly a bad person. He'll land something and destroy all of this. Versus for him, it's like he's a very intelligent person. And I think regardless of it being the Empire or the Republic, he would be a great person in that role. He probably would adapt to the system, you know?
Yeah, I think him and Deirdre, like, they want order and control. And I feel like in a different government system, the order and control, like if you could do that peacefully, I think they would do it peacefully.
Trying to think what other antagonists there are. So Deidre, I mean, do we even see?
I think I'm back, everyone. I was gone just long enough. I came back just enough to hear you guys like defending like fascist bureaucrats or something. Yeah. So that's what we do on the Economy of Nothing podcast. It's a good job. No, he would have been a great asset to the rebellion, you jackasses. No, sorry,
I never said that.
No, I'm just joking. I'm sorry about that. I don't know. You know, new technology, this old computer, it just crashed on me. Maybe it'll crash again. I don't really know. Sorry, but yeah, party guest. Very cool guy. I was just messing with you guys. Sounds like yeah, so I guess in case my computer like messes up again, I guess like what I feel like Andor season 1 lingered with me a bit longer than Andor season 2, and I don't think Andor season 2 was in any way worse, right? And I'm just wondering, like, is it like what am I feeling at the end of it, and why do I feel bad that Andor's over?
I think we feel bad
because I like Star Wars, and Star Wars is next, right? And the Empire. I mean, is it because the Emperor doesn't get defeated for another 60 years? Is that why?
I think we feel bad because we know we don't get more. There is no more exploring this character and the other characters, especially the other characters that don't appear in other Star Wars. We don't get to see what happens to them. I doubt we'll get another Tony Gilroy Star Wars thing. It'd be cool, but what can he do? He would have to go past, either go way back or go way past where we're at. And with a lot of the new live action shows like Ahsoka, Mandalorian, which I enjoyed at the beginning, but is kind of like fading away from me, is that they're all leading towards justifying the sequels. Like Ahsoka, they're like justifying what happens with the resistance in the sequels. Mandalorian, I have no idea I am not excited for the movie because they're going to justify that, this is how the Emperor cloned himself. That's the story they're heading towards, and it's like not going to be fun.
To put, I hadn't heard any, like, I don't know, just the way, it's like they're defensively trying to like justify this other thing they did, right? Or like, you know what I mean? It's like I'm like, oh man, can we just move on? And they're like, no. Those were good movies, and it's like they just leave us alone, right? Like,
I would not be angry.
We're gonna make it.
I would not be angry with like a complete reset with the sequels. I listened to a podcast recently. I think it was a few weeks ago that it aired, the weekly podcast. I think with Jon Stewart, the weekly show. I forget what he calls his podcast. But he had
less successful than this podcast. Anyway.
He had Tony Gilroy on and another person, I forget his name, but he is a historian that focuses on revolutions, and he had a bunch of podcasts on like revolutions, like the Russian Revolution, the Haiti Revolution, and so on, French. But they were talking about how Tony didn't say this because was paid by Star Wars, paid by Disney. But the historian mentioned that he was disappointed in the sequels because in terms of revolutions, the most interesting part is not like the revolution itself, it's what happens after. How does, like, people revolting and against oppressive government, what happens when they have to govern? And a lot of the cases, like we look at real world examples, like Egypt after the Arab Spring, it failed. They didn't get a more just democratic government after. And a lot of these rebellions just led to oppressive governments that had to be overthrown again. So
I think that's
it would have been more interesting
maybe,
to explore the politics and the chaos of building a new republic instead of whatever they did.
That is the trouble, right? Is that well, we don't need to. Anyway, why do I feel sad that Andor's over, Brent?
What? So I feel like at the end of Andor, the bad guys win, right? Like that's kind of what we're all leading up to. Even though there's this, hope, and it leads into new hope and stuff. Like
Luke Skywalker doesn't
arguably,
do
the Emperor has won at the end of season 2. Right, like they did this effort. There's this crushing. Luthen dies. There is rebellion brewing, but we know that they were going to win at the end. I almost equate it to kind of there's a lot of mixed emotions with this, but like what is it? Episode 3, right?
the one
where Anakin's
where
fall.
she gets raped.
Yeah, Anakin's
Oh, I thought you were talking
fall.
about episode 3 of the Andor show. Episode 3 of
the series, right? So the end of the prequels. We know
it
that
gets very confusing.
I feel like it kind of has that similar, like outside of those two, those are the ones where we know it's gonna, something's bad gonna happen at the end of it. We know there's gonna be some hope, but we know that essentially they're gonna come out on top. Is it that kind of feeling where, maybe parallels to our real world about fascism and kind of bad things happening, and you're like, oh my God, like this, I don't know, this is a little bit too real for me.
I don't worry about it. I'm focused on the distant future. I wouldn't know anything about that.
So,
but
I don't know if that
really,
kind of hit on it as well.
When we started, like I said it at kind of like the beginning of the podcast, right? But I'm like, what kind of life does Andor's kid have? Like, I'm serious. Like where's our timeline on this? I can think about it right now, right? So if let's say that's the year that they do the first Star Wars, right? How many years is the sequel? So at the New Order rises when Andor's son gets to be 35 before the New Order really gets into gear. Is that kind of what we're thinking? I guess I don't. So all of that Mandalorian and Grogu stuff takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi, right? That's where all that stuff is. It's 5 years after Return of the Jedi, and that's all 6 years or 7 years after this, right? So that makes Andor's kid right around is Andor's kid's older than Kylo Ren, correct or incorrect?
Yes.
Yes. Because he was born before the Battle of Yavin.
Oh yeah, because they haven't even met yet. Oh yeah, because Kylo Ren's parents haven't even met.
Yeah, they would be and I don't know the timing between Star Wars and I guess is that Empire Strikes Back. Is that back to back or is there a time delay? So it's got to be at least kind of 5 years, right?
Yeah, I think it's like 3 years or something. That's the show I want. Do the Clone Wars show, but it's Luke, Han, and Leia going on some adventures. Why can't Luke, Han, and Leia ever go on any adventures? They're never on any adventures. The 3 favorite characters never doing anything. Boba Fett where? Right? But so I guess that is I guess my question is are you satisfied with Andor season 2? Is it everything you hoped for? Because I really loved it. But now I feel empty. It's
I think there's a tremendous amount of density to it, which I think I might have texted you, because I think I actually watched it before you did all of it, and then I texted you and was like, "Hey,
it took me a while to get through." Yeah,
and I was like, sit through it, form your opinion at the end, but it's weird because you appreciate the show more after you've watched it than while you're watching. At least that's how I felt. Was when I was watching, I'm like, I feel like there should be more. But afterwards, or the night after, or the week after, or even after I finished all of it, I'm like, holy shit, that was an incredible amount of density. And when my brain really unpacks it, I'm like, okay, I liked it a lot more versus season 1. That was immediate gratification. as well as after the fact. But on season 2, I feel like the density of the story and the plots takes a while to set in before you truly appreciate it. That's at least my take.
Yeah, I definitely love season 1 more, but I still love season 2. And then to like address your like question of like feeling, I don't know, sad at the end, is because potentially this is the best Star Wars we're ever going to get in our lifetime. Like if they keep going on the path they're going, like what I would love for them to do is
like I'll never like an anime.
Obi-Wan season 2, come on guys.
What I would want more of, like what this is a Star Wars story. It's a story within the Star Wars universe, and then where like, you know, where you feel a little, I don't know, not, you don't love, well, I don't love the second season as much as the first because you do need to connect it to the broader original stories. I would love more creators like this and stories like this around non-major characters. Just you have an open universe, insert any kind of story, any kind of genre. I think could work because we're like the genre jumps around, especially even with Clone Wars. We got cowboys, we got Kurosawa, we got, you know, all these genres that they're playing with. So if they just say, okay, open universe, play like a sandbox, create new characters, new stories, and not have to have everything like the Marvel problem right now where everything has to tie in and connect and it's all plot driven. And the movies that are failing recently is just because they're all CGI and just plot and no character.
Yeah, it's interesting when you go back to what Brent was saying just for a second when he was talking about how it sits with you. And I'm sitting with the image of Deirdre sitting in prison, and I'm sitting with it and just being like, because part of my thing is like, did they spend enough time on this couple? Like, there's like all this stuff. Like, did they spend enough screen time? Did people get the point here? Like, was it driven home enough? I don't know. Like, this is the last chance. I'll never be. Maybe I think my problem is this the last piece of popular media that ever has anything to say? Right?
Well, within Star Wars, maybe.
Yeah, right. Well, like the MCU is so far from having a commentary on the real world that they're in other universes, right? Like it's like, but yeah, no, I just it is a thing that like I was thinking about then when Dave was talking about like when they announced all of this stuff, Star Wars, Disney, Star Wars, EA, a million things, a million games, a million shows, all this stuff. The least thing I had to be excited for when I heard of was the spin-off, the Andor spin-off from the Rogue One, the movie I didn't like that much, right? Like I was like, not this, right? Like maybe like the Mandalorian at least had a Mandalorian in it. I guess, do you know what I mean? And it's just like, yeah, I wonder how creators like that are empowered, right? And like, a lot of the problem with like modern stuff is like so many people are like, oh, you did this one good thing, and they just start like like I hope Tony Gilroy doesn't seem like the guy. I hope we're not all of a sudden going to get like 5 Tony Gilroy shows, and then all of a sudden none of them are any good, and I don't want definitely pay the man as much money as he wants and let him keep work. You know what I mean? But I hope someone stay pure and make good things.
I think the tone I get from Tony is like, he's spent so much time on this. He's like relieved. He's finished. Yeah. So I kind of hope that we don't get more Tony Gilroy in Star Wars because like he's created this masterpiece, in my opinion. Okay, and then you should like. I mean, okay, never come back to Star Wars. Continue doing whatever you
want. No. Come back anytime you want, right? But like, don't make him do it, right?
Maybe he's the fixer, like in Rogue One. Like he comes in afterwards and tries. But I think that also might be too much of a Frankenstein. And given what we've seen in Andor, it's just going to be a waste if he's band-aiding versus. Like, is he like a?
Can we talk about the poetry of Andor for example, like the goal, like so many of like the scenes are like the inverse of a thing that happened in like season one. Like I'm sitting like as you're waiting for the Gorman massacre to like happen, because we all know it's gonna happen, right? Did anyone? Because we've seen Rebels, like the term Gorman massacre was already in my head. I think
I knew,
before the
like,
show
I forgot,
started.
like I never remembered Gorman from Rebels or watching previous Star Wars, but I knew that that's what they were planning. Like from that, like their board meeting with their PowerPoint presentation, I knew that they were planning this.
In the so they're in that square. All the production design on all of this is incredible. All the locations they shoot look so good, and they just like extend it with like incredible stuff. Like anyway, but it starts and they're like singing, and you like feel that at the end of the song, just like at Ferrex at the end of like last season, but like Ferrex has more hope in it, right? And like at the end of that, like it's Andor like flying off, and like I don't know, it's one of those things I'll have to wait till someone tells me how it changes every episode or whatever, right? But like I feel like each one of these things ends with Andor like flying off like a little sadder or whatever, until like at the end he's like flying off the Kafrine. He's like, yeah, we're just doing the thing. Here's the end of this, right? And like I don't know, the rebellion start with hope. Just that guy, incredible. Like I was like, why are we spending all this time with this guy? You know what I mean?
The hotel attendant.
You guys say some things you like.
I did like the hotel attendant. He was amazing. I think, I mean, I don't know if where you were going with this was like the parallels between Gorman and then in season one. Like, was that Ferrex, or were you talking about the locals too as well?
Sorry, I kind of. Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of it does, right? There's a lot of like build up and then like relief of tension, right? And like you can think about the way Gorman the massacre plays out a lot, like in
but Aldhani was the same situation.
They start playing the music, and what's his name? Andor's mom says it's when the music stops.
Yeah.
In season one, right? And so every time in season two, I'm sitting there, and every time the music stops, something happens. But like the scenes have been built like inversely in a way that like the opposite thing keeps happening. I don't know. I should have done more research or like have a better way of describing it.
I would even say, but I would say like Ferrex isn't the parallel I was thinking. I was actually thinking Aldhani, because Aldhani was same situation. There were locals there. They were underdeveloped locals, right? But they were vacated there, and then they were pushed out, and different circumstances. But the Empire, since they pushed them out, took over their place. On the opposite side, you have Gorman, who's very rich. They're in there, and the Empire comes in. It's interesting that the Empire kind of puts money in, or has the money in. What am I thinking? Season one, but then in the second one, the locals have the money, yet they get pushed out. Right? It's like, is that a parallel between the Gorman front and Aldhani and the locals of like? Empire locals didn't have money, then they use it for infrastructure for money. Gormans, the locals have money, push them out, ruin the planet so there's nothing there and resources are essentially empty. Like, is that I thought that's the parallel that you're going to go with, was like the opposite of season 1 and 2.
Well, I thought, I mean, David does that. Well, no, I was thinking, when I thought Aldhani, I was thinking the rerun of like when they're running the little heist in Gorman. It felt like a little mini Aldhani, right? Mm-hmm. And of course, Val loses someone again, because whenever Val loses people when she's in charge, right? Like it's just how it happens, right? And I more felt like there was just such a bigger sense of dread. Because what's weird is, I guess leaving season 1, I guess I didn't know things had to get worse for Andor. Like I knew they were going to get worse for Andor, obviously, right? Because of like the progression of the universe. But like, just like the way like it keeps like just going wrong for the guy, despite it exclusively going right for the guy. I don't know. Is this like weird thing I can't put my finger on it? It's back to like the density, and like maybe season 1 was just more digestible because it's longer, and like
I think the worst I think Andor as an individual, as a person, his worst days was season 1. He lost his mother. He was imprisoned. He had to, fight, and then eventually he said, okay, I'm going to join the rebellion because of everything that's happened to me. And then everything in season 2 is he loses a friend at the beginning, but he's like witnessing the atrocities of the Empire across multiple planets. So everything around him, like he's getting purpose. He has a relationship until the end. For him as like a person like with purpose, he's kind of like having his best days, but the world, like the universe around him, is collapsing, and he's just one person.
And like Diego Luna, I was thinking about this, as I'd watch some of this stuff. He's so good. Like he plays like this guy that like knows what's going on, but like without like he doesn't move like a machine or whatever. But every time his character goes in there, even when he doesn't know where he's going, he always looks like he knows where to look, even if he doesn't know what he's looking for, or vice versa, right? He always knows to look for something, even if he doesn't know what it is he's looking for. Like he gets into the spaceship right away. He doesn't know what to do, but he knows all the places to look for things to do on the spaceship, right? I don't know. I think he does. Everyone does a fantastic job. I guess the real, like, one final thing, 'cause I don't want to hold everyone forever, but like we did talk about it here. We simply must discuss real quickly Cyril Carn's, like we talked about it for a second, but talking about things I thought couldn't be satisfying, watching Cyril Carn and Andor punch it up was great. It wasn't like it's very intense, and it's like, it's just, yeah, these two guys need to scrap it out real quick, and then one of them needs to get shot by another guy. That's the only way this can play.
It's prefaced by someone whose entire life's purpose is to find this person, and I don't know who said it earlier, but that's met by essentially his adversary saying, who are you? I've never even met you. And like this guy whose purpose it is to find him and fight him, he's like, I don't even know who you are. You're just another random person. Like,
and he just
that then sets off even more tension to the end of his arc.
And his entire world just got destroyed. That guy, what kind of being are you? When he's like, you're gonna tell me it's a rumor again? Like
Cyril,
he just had his world crushed like 6 times in a row and then shot in the head.
Cyril definitely has the best character arc for season 1, season 2. Like season 1, I'm like, who is this annoying, whiny little asshole? I don't really care about him. But by the end, I'm like, sad? How did that happen? I'm sad that Cyril's dead at the end.
Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be Cyril.
What
parents,
about
right?
I know it's Clea. How do you guys feel about that?
So this, when you were saying wait for stuff to go, that's another thing. I was like, part of me was like, oh, my first watch through was, why are you wasting my time on this? So like, we only have a couple more episodes and I have to spend a whole episode in a flashback. I don't love flashbacks, right? Of course, now having finished it all, I'm like, well, that should have been 3 episodes in season 4 or whatever, right? Yeah. So, I want my cake and I also would like to eat it, please.
Yeah, I feel like there's not going to be anything, but if there was ever more Andor, like, or a show within the Andor timeline, I definitely would want it to be with Clea.
Okay, I was looking there. I knew there was a thing that was like the thing to know. That's what I would try. And it brings in what Brent was talking about at the beginning of like, so who can they bring out of this? It is a pretty closed loop of people when you consider like Rogue One and like most of the people who have names are dead, except for maybe Clea and Val.
What's the kid's name?
Oh, Willman.
He survives Gorman along with his Gorman girlfriend. He's got a girlfriend in every planet.
Oh, the bomb guy?
Yeah, so the bomb guy, so
He
Willman,
lives?
so like, are those,
Will, oh yeah, Willman.
is there another,
can we talk about him for a second?
All right, let's talk about what we talk about, Willman.
I feel like he's like the worst character, right? Like he's always messing things up. He's created a lot of issues. Like I watched one of the recaps. Like the whole reason, what's his name, Brazo dies is because he's going to find this idiot. Like before they vacate, like he causes so many problems.
Because he's got a girl on every planet.
But he also he's the guy that set off the pipe bomb and like blew up all this shit. Yeah, okay, maybe that's a good thing. But he's like a constant series of bad actions. Short-term relationships with like people in vulnerable situations, abandoning them, going to the next event, seems to have no remorse or like, right?
Well, he's high on that weird gas that
he didn't even. That was at the end. He did all these things beforehand.
I think
his character probably got hurt by like the shortening of season 2, right? Or like but like because like he was in it, right? And he throws a pipe on, like, get this kid out of here, and then he's like, I was confused by what age he was supposed to be the whole time. It was a bit, I couldn't quite figure his deal out. But David,
he throws the pipe bomb because he's like a teenager, I'm assuming, kid.
Yeah.
Well, angry at the Empire because they just killed his dad. His dad is dead or tortured. He doesn't know.
Brent's like, that's no reason to,
cause violence. Come on.
Excuse me.
But like
he could have called his space senator.
He's definitely the stand-in for like young, like a lot of rebellions, a lot of resistance movements in history start with angry young people who have nothing to go for, not like no hope, no future, so they rebel, they commit acts of terrorism, because that's his purpose. And like maybe it would have been like he's like the character that gets the least development. If there's a more of this world and we see him and his girlfriend, they could develop that relationship. Like how does he, if he survives after the rebellion, what is his life like when he has nothing to resist against?
To the point before, like the Clea, like she's a spy in the Empire, like doing some dirt, or like the fugitive Clea or something like that. I don't want to see the Willman show.
Yeah, no, that was my point.
If there was a Clea, if there was a Clea show, I want it after the rebels win, and it's the politics of building a new republic, and maybe it's like she sees the same signs that led to the Empire, and we see like she's
or maybe
trying, like
she jumps and joins the First Order. She would be a really good First Order general.
Please. This becomes the problem. So here's what we should,
due to like drama and treatment. Like she lost the nose. She even said, and I expect that she was not treated well on Andor, right?
I think the thing that we need to learn from Andor is that the spinoffs need to be of the people we don't want. So, like, the actual answer is, I guess I do want the Willman spinoff, right? Like, because I didn't want the Andor spinoff. You know what? I can't. When you pitch in the spinoff, I don't want the Boba Fett spinoff. Believe it or not, blew my mind. I didn't want the Boba Fett spinoff. If you had told me a couple years prior that I didn't want a Boba Fett show, I would have gone, "What are you talking about? A show with Boba Fett? It sounds fun." It wasn't.
No.
David, thoughts?
Like I just keep coming back to like I want like. Ignore.
Oh no, just on the Boba Fett show.
Thought horrible. Didn't like it. Like if we bring back some of these characters, I would want a TV show. Maybe it's Tony, but like in the same vein, Mon Mothma, Clea, building the new Republic, and then it's like a contained political drama show. And then we don't even have to touch on Resistance because that's like 30 years later, right? Or the sequels.
I really want like it's now that you said it, I'm like, okay, if there's one thing I do, all right, we have to follow someone. Let's follow that like the weasel that's left at ISB.
ISB.
Let's follow this last Weasley fuck.
The young
The,
weasel or the guy that takes over?
Didn't he get shot?
no. The guy no, the guy who like was Deirdre's place. Like a thing that I'm like I need to rewatch the show to like see how intentional all this stuff is like boy, just a lot of like the weakest boys who we were just saying yes are the only ones left in the empire. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just like all the people who said yeah sure I guess, you know, anyone who had a thought or an idea is dead and gone, right?
Well, to clarify, the guy who took over Deirdre's place got shot and killed.
He did?
In a hallway.
The younger guy?
Trying to invest.
What happened?
He went after Mon Mothma.
Oh, he does. Yes.
And he got shot by his own guy. When
they're saving Clea, he's up there trying to get them. Yep.
Oh yeah, in the apartment.
I forgot he died. Oh well, then everyone's dead.
Yeah,
there's no one left.
Just like you said, the old bald guy.
I'd like to 60 more years of the Emperor, please.
Oh, what about the
only ISB person we know that's alive and still working there is the guy who is going to arrest Partagaz, but he prevents the troops going in after he shoots himself.
What about
how'd that guy make it through?
What about the guy that was Deirdre's adversary in season 1?
Blevin?
Blevin.
Dude, I think Blevin.
What if Blevin comes back? What if he defects?
I think Blevin had the right idea and was just like, excuse me, I just do my sectors and I get involved in. That's the man that played Bean in an Empire properly. He said, no, actually, the perspective rules and regulate. Deirdre was like, I think I can get ahead in this Empire. And the Empire said, no, you can't. But it is funny, like, to see, like, Krennic. Like, there is dramatic irony to see, like, Krennic there being like, I'm the baddest man. And, like, knowing how afraid they are of, like, every single person above them.
What happens to the, I can't remember his name, the rich guy? He would be a nice little arc to follow, like seeing. Like
we could keep following Mon Mothma's husband. He's just getting drunk on Coruscant still.
What's the guy I'm thinking of that marries Mon Mothma's daughter?
Oh yeah, the mob kind of guy.
He's a banker, money launderer, but I mean, he would be a fun one, right? Because he'd learn about essentially, like to your point, David, I think earlier, like you'd learn about banking and business and like things that are essentially a separate world.
We could tie that all back into like my idea of a political drama of rebuilding the Republic, and then we see all these sleazy characters come back on Coruscant, and we're like, and we see like, oh, they're trying to rebuild a better government with a lot of the same sleazy people. I'm like, you're gonna see it's doomed to fail. I did hear that they cut a scene or a sequence where they were going to show that Mon Mothma's husband would have supported her if she was honest with him. But I think they were like probably no time to explore this, so they just
Davo Skolden.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. You know who I'm looking at this list, and I would love a spinoff series of? Sergeant Linus Mosk. Whatever happened to him? Do we know? Did he die? Do you know who I'm talking about?
Need a picture.
So he's the guy from season 1, the sergeant who does the charge with Cyril. And then calls Cyril back.
Oh yeah.
So Sergeant
and he
Linus
ends up
Mosk,
like he's like working in a mine.
Yeah, mining
after
facility. That. Like he was fun. He would be a fun character out of the spinoff, right? Sergeant. Let's see if Mike knows who it is. Sergeant Linus Mosk. Do you know who that is?
Mosk. I don't know. I assume he's from Andor. Which one is this?
He's the guy from the first run, who was the sergeant when they did the raid on Ferrix. So he did the raid with Cyril, and then he got demoted.
The Irish guy?
Yeah.
You, Captain. Captain Barry, hear me over the radio, sir. That guy?
Yeah, he would be
He was on Ferrix, but I think he just snuck away.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think he made it out.
He would have to be the best spinoff, right?
Yeah, it would be. Well, guys, I have to tell you, this has been a great conversation, but these technical difficulties are probably, I think this computer might die again. So we might have to leave this conversation right here.
I thought you were the podcast expert.
I was, but I have new equipment in the past week, and I'm still working out some kinks here. This is only episode 2 of the podcast, and it's a very special episode. But I would like to say, Brent, thank you so much for joining me. David, thank you so much for joining me. My dog is going crazy over here. My power's running out on my computer. It's a real economy of nothing. But I want to thank you all for joining me on the economy of nothing. I haven't shouted out anything because it's a very special episode. It's all about Star Wars and other people's stuff. All right, thank you guys so much for joining us, and we'll catch everyone next week. Bad outro.